which is entitled The Things You Think You Know. And before we go to part two, which is called Putting It All Together, I thought it might do us well to do a little recap because I know I missed at least 1 week while I was traveling across the country. We may have some new folks here. I can only see 6 people on the screen right now. So I don't know what the total is right at this moment, but I can see it says 12. So we got 12 folks. So if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me for just the first couple minutes, I'd like to take 2 minutes per chapter and just introduce to those that have no idea what this book is about. It looks like all you guys have been here though. So just to make sure that we are on the same page and we're doing this for more than just getting together and read because we're all adults here. We can read this book on our own. The purpose of us coming together as a mindset intensive is to do what the Bible says about iron sharpening iron. We're like-minded individuals with, for those of us who are in NWR, we've got the same goal in terms of securing our financial and time freedom. That's our overall goal. We have different goals of how we're going to do that. We have different methods, but this book is let me just read that this first part that we're about to close out is to help us understand the process to achieving our most valuable goals in only weeks. And then chapter two or part two, when we put it all together, it's about making our goals happen by giving us the specific tools and tips to support the ideas in part one. So I thought, well, wait a minute, before we go to getting some tools to actually help us to do what the authors promise us, because they made some promises to us as well about helping us um, to show us how to increase our current results by 4 times or more in a very short period of time. And I don't know, I'd love to hear a testimony of someone who's actually reached that increase at this point in time without having the tools. That'd be great because we're also doing things between the reading times that are designed to increase our business. So if anybody has a testimony about that, let's hear it. Anybody? Just unmute yourself and go ahead and speak. Okay. So we all need the
Uh,
tools. So
David, let
I'm
me check the mute button, see if I have it available for everyone. Just a second. Yeah, we do.
okay. Yeah, because this is a volunteer army. That's another thing. If I do plan to make this a little more interactive, more participation from the group, because again, we're here to help one another. But if we're all just sitting back, listening and watching and not really participating, what good is it doing? You know? So if anybody has any results they'd like to share, please do. But if not, I'll keep going. So, if at all possible, and if you feel so inclined, if not, then I'll only give you 30 seconds to do it. Um, for a minute or two, I'd like to, after I do chapter one, because chapter one had a lot of meat in it, and I want to bring some ideas forth because they're going to help us as we move into part two and start obtaining the tools and using the tools. So let's look at a couple of things that the authors talked about in chapter one, the challenge. And the question is, and it still is, how do some people accomplish so much more than others? We're all we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? And the quote is so apropos that it says, if we did the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. That's from Thomas Edison. And that's, again, that's a definite mindset shift or change for those of us who have not lived up to our full potential. And the question, another question in chapter one was, how do we become our optimal selves? And again, the tools that they're about to show us are designed to help us do that. Because again, they promised us to increase our results. One other quote that I'd like to let us think about or bring back to our remembrance is, it's not what you know, it's not even who you know, it's what you implement that counts. And that gets into the real meat of chapter one and actually the entire book, because the authors rightly stated that knowledge isn't power, because you've heard that old term, knowledge is power, right? But it isn't power until it's used properly and positively, because the marketplace, and this is important for us as entrepreneurs, only rewards those ideas that get implemented. So we have to do, in another part of that chapter, we already have what we need to make things work for us. We just need to do what we already do or what we know how to do. And he gave some great examples of that actually happening. And another promise they made to us is that they're going to teach us how to be consistent, all capitals on that one, in taking action. All right. Taking action. Isn't that what we all want our prospective business partners and customers to do? Once we give them the information that they need to make a change in their situation, then it's up to them to make a decision, take action. If you stay where you're at, you're going to and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. If you keep doing what you're doing and expect different results. But if once your mind's been expanded, once you've learned something new, like our ancestors, our grandmas and great grandmas said, if you know better, child, you got to do better. And that's what that's all about. So, does anyone remember what chapter two was about? It's entitled, and this is open book, guys. If you got the book, by all means, just go back and either pull out a quote or give us something that helps us to understand what redefining the year. That's chapter two. What was that all about?
David, I posted the PDF format on the chat. If anybody wants to open it, you can just kind of guide us. Chapter two, what page was chapter two? Or let me just kind of pull it up here.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Great day. Here's the link in case you don't have the book. Great. Thanks, Ron. And so did you, Fernando. Knowledge
It's okay.
plus action equals power. Okay. Yep. That's chapter one. What about chapter two? Anybody? All right. As what I recall about redefining the year, the main topic is what the title of the book is, which is 12 weeks now equal a year. We're going to compress that time because, as the author stated in chapter one, most people wait until the end of the year when bonus time is upon them to really be their most productive. When the other 9 months they were just doing whatever they were doing, but they concentrated. And so instead of waiting and wasting 9 months, now he's saying, well, hey, look, if the most concentration or productivity takes place in the last quarter, let's make the last quarter every quarter. So that's what I got out of that. Chapter three, the emotional connection. And this is where it talked about your brain and making. Does anybody remember or want to talk about um, any highlights from that chapter that stuck out in your mind? The emotional connection. Why do we need an emotional connection in the first place?
I believe that the emotional connection gives you that endurance. If you have a reason why, you know, you'll get things done. When there's no reason why, anything is gonna drift you away from your purpose and what you're aiming to accomplish. And the 12-week
Yep.
allows us to compress what can happen in a year in 12 weeks because prolonging a goal feels so distant. But the closer you can get to it, I think the small daily task to meet your goals, which are the small goals, will eventually put you in a position which I call it the 90-day commitment blitz. And that's a 12-week
Yeah.
game plan. What is it that you're doing daily? How close can you bring that big goal and break it down to a daily goal? And obviously, if we're in
Well, Fernando,
sales, we got to constantly be working on a list of contacts. Who are we going to talk to
Fernando,
next? If it's a health goal or a spiritual goal, it has to be in the moment. The future, I mean, if we plan for a whole year, David, you can get easily distracted. But if you put it into immediate goals, like right now, right, the month ends tomorrow in our company, so we're pressuring ourselves to get things done. When we could have started with the same intensity the first day, what our CEO gave us as a mission to do. So that's what a goal is about. It puts you on the edge of your seat if you get it to do it daily, consistently, step by step, and committing to that, so you don't have to wait till the last minute and say, "Oh, I got to get it done," when it's 2 days almost for the month to end.
well, Fernando, you hit a bunch of different chapters with that one because what you reminded me of when the first sentence you said about attaching some feeling to your goals when you brought the goal concept in is that if we just do our daily tasks, our monthly tasks, our week, whatever our goal is, if we're just focused on that, but it doesn't have any meaning to us personally, in terms of, what's the benefit of me going into an office, finding traffic for 2 hours, sitting at a desk for 8 hours, breaking for lunch for 1 hour, and then getting back in traffic for another 2 hours? Why? Like you said, what's your why? What's the purpose? The emotional connection was, hey, I've got two kids. I've got to put them, I got to put food on the table. And that's a basic need. You got to meet basic needs. But for most people, that is the emotional connection. I got to make my basic needs. But you also have another vision, and most people when they're kids, because it talks about dreamers, right, in chapter 3. And when we're children, we dream a lot, right? We're always talking about what we're going to do when we grow up. And then we get grown up, and are we doing what we said we were going to do when we were 9, 10, 12, even in high school? Are we? And that's because the vision that we created for ourselves when we were children gets reduced. It gets, refocused on just doing what's necessary instead of what's purposeful for our lives. That's going to make us, a better person and feel better about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So,
Yeah, and
and
David,
it talks about our brain.
the emotional connection has to do with two type of emotions, inspiration or desperation. And I think most
Right.
people act based on desperation because their goal is more like a wish. So when it comes to, okay, I'm running out of time, it's
Yeah.
desperation. So we got to
It
keep
is desperate.
ourselves
Yep.
in alignment of inspiration rather than desperation.
And I
I wanted to,
love the
if I
quote at
may,
the end of the chapters. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Ron, go ahead.
Ron
if I
Samuels.
may,
Go ahead, Ron.
peace and love, family. Peace and love, family. I had my hand raised, but I wanted to interject. I wanted to, I know this is an interactive
Oh,
affair
geez.
here, so I wanted to chime in, because this chapter was had a lot of information to digest, to share. Uh, One of the key concepts that was shared in this book or in this chapter is comfort is the enemy, is our enemy. It talked about how it's the enemy of greatness. Um, there was a statement that I highlighted. It says the number one thing you will have to sacrifice to be great is your comfort. So most people choose comfort today instead of better tomorrow. So I think that was something
Yeah.
that hit me personally. The problem that comfort feels good now, but often creates regret later. So
And are we
we
always
want
told
to
to get out of our comfort zone?
absolutely that our comfort zone is not where what the life we
Where growth
desire. It's
takes
not
place.
in our comfort zone, right? So
Exactly.
another key point I wanted to touch on was that we need a bigger vision, than our comfort, right? So the
Mhm.
author says the solution: create a future that you want more than your current comfort, right? So ask yourself, what legacy do I want to leave? What do I want for my family? What financial freedom do I desire? What impact do I want to make? So these questions, we all have to ask ourselves. So it's great that we have these dialogues and we talk about the books, and we pull from the book, and everyone gives their perspective because it adds, because we're reading the same thing, but we all have a different perspective of what we're hearing. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity to share, and I really appreciate David, your ability to articulate very well, so I can picture and imagine everything that you're saying, without any type of like confusion there. So I really appreciate that. Thank you for that. And of course, Fernando, I appreciate what you do and everyone else here today. So thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Ron. We appreciate you. Go ahead, Jameson. You're up. You're still on
Here
mute.
we go.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
So chapter 2, it had a lot of great things in it. Thank you for reading again. And one of the things that talked about, like was Ron piggybacking off what Ron said, is about creating a compelling vision. And why I'm bringing that back up is I'm going back further into the amygdala. And
Mm.
we're talking about the part of the brain
Yes.
that basically controls kind of like our safety.
Yes.
And the amygdala reacts negatively when facing uncertainty and risk. And I can go down the whole bunch of things here, but the counterbalance to the amygdala's natural tendency to stay away from things unknown is the prefrontal cortex, or your new part of the brain. And the the capacity for your brain to change is called neuroplasticity. So basically, the vision is critical to that, and how you actually. It says the brain can change based on how you use it. This is the most important part in the back. So the good news is that your brain can. There's that same action can be either forced with the if you focus on the bad and make it more uncertain, or if you focus on the good and make it more bright and shiny. It's the way you use it is like, and the one great thing about it is you can regularly and repeatedly thinking about the inspiring vision where you can emotionally connect to with your life is how you basically fire up that prefrontal cortex and expand your vision. So this is the most important part of that chapter is the very last paragraph there. And here's what may be the best part. When you think about a compelling vision, the neurons that fire in your brain are the same neurons that fire when you act on your vision. What that means is that you can literally train your brain to act on your vision just by thinking about it.
Exactly.
Musicians, astronauts, athletes,
Jingle
they
rich.
train their brain. It's been proven that you can actually grow muscle, expand capacity by just thinking about it in a certain way. And the first step, though, is in creating an inspiring vision, like Ron was talking about, and learning how to stay connected with it. And but at one part of another subject or another book is that it's not only thinking about it, it's the feeling and the vision connected together really makes the heart mind connection. That is really critical, and that makes the vision come alive, and you'll start to live your vision even though it may not be complete yet. It's really interesting. Thank you.
Right. Yes, sir. And that takes us to that quote at the end of the chapter, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Question we should ask ourselves on a daily basis. So, chapter 4, throw out the annual plan. That's pretty obvious, right? That's what they started in chapter 1 with, or chapter 2, rather. And so we know that, and like you said, Jameson, once we have a clear vision, now we need the plan, and it can't be the annual plan because now we're going to compress the time, right? So let's do that. And then chapter 5, 1 week. Well, did anybody have anything to say on the 12-week planning tool or 12-week planning process? Because we're throwing out the annual plan and making it and compressing it down to 12 weeks. Okay. So what Fernando kind of touched on earlier was that we're going to break that annual plan down into little chunks. And chapter 5 talks about taking it 1 week at a time. That's that we're wired to, and well, the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Well, it's the same thing with our goals. In order to make them reality, we have to break it down in its component parts and make sure that we're executing on the most valuable pieces, which again is what part 1 is all about. Understanding the process to achieve our most valuable goals, not just to think about them, not just to write them down on a planner, but to actually achieve them. So now we got chapter 6, and this is I love the title, Confronting the Truth, which leads us to measuring results. Anybody got anything on that one? Would like to share, rather.
I'd like to share if I could. Um, I
Sure,
took some
Ron.
notes. I actually took some notes on this chapter. I got a, little notepad here. So, one of the things that, many
Excellent.
things that stood out to me is, confronting, our truths, confronting your personal truths. Rather, you cannot improve what you don't measure. They say,
Mhm.
you can't measure without no accountability. You can't measure your results. So, so I think it's very important that all of us, look at ourselves and see what we're doing, what we're not doing. Um, if we're not measuring it, we're guessing. And coaches, we got a lot of coaches on this call, right? So coaches know what needs to improve. Players, all of us are players as well, and we know where we stand. If whether we our jump shot is needs some work, or our handle is up to par or not. We can go left or right. So I think these gatherings, this book club, I feel like this is more of a mastermind to me. I look at it as that. So every time I'm not here, I feel like, man, I missed out on. It just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? So I make sure that at least I come and I soak up as much as I can, because these sessions are very powerful. Take from this. And one last thing before I go is measurement creates awareness. It says keeping score provides us feedback, accountability, direction, better decision making. Without objective measurements, it's difficult to know whether your efforts are actually producing results. So we all want results. That's what this is all about. We want to see results. So we have to measure the results. We have to be able to, like someone mentioned, we need accountability partners, to hold us accountable for the things that we say we want as an individual, and as a team. So I wanted just to share that part. That's what stood out in my notes. So again, thanks for letting me share.
Appreciate that. Fernando.
Yeah, I think this is a good one, confronting the truth. That's why it's important to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And if you are a part of a culture and there is someone sparking up the lead, you want to stay close to that one person, because if you want to attract the results that you want to, that you want to happen, there has to be a role model. And I like what it's happening right now in our community. Someone's leading the way. Someone that never has given up, has been doing it for 5, 6 years. Eventually, something sparked up, especially going through such health issues and still leading the way. It's like, man, how did he spark up so much activity and stay in tune and change his attitude, convert it into gratitude. And now it's like you got to measure progress. But who can you look as a role model to be able to measure that progress? And that's the thing that I'm pretty excited about this month. It's like, wow, somebody decided to say, hey, you know what? If something is not really moving as fast as we want to, I got to make it happen so I can start showing everyone that it can be done, even though, this leader has health challenges that he's overcoming, and not using that as an excuse, but more as a reason why, he's making things happen. So staying close to the fire is measuring your progress. Who am I measuring my progress with, so I can learn from? Let me find the best one, pay attention to what they're saying, apply every principle, and it's working. I'm sparking up that he lit up the fire on me, and I said, man, I gotta get it done. So that's what I'm about. This chapter is what I'm thinking about right now, in the happening, in the moment.
Yep. And this quote that I'm looking at, truth is the only safe ground to stand on. And Ron, you mentioned about coaching, when a player is getting coached, he has to be coachable. You got to receive what the coach is saying. If you're jumping like you mentioned, basketball is my favorite sport. So if you're not snapping your wrist hard enough when you release on your at the apex of your jump shot, you don't know that, but somebody standing on the sidelines and watching you can tell you that that's what you're doing wrong and then correct it. And that way you can, like you said, then your results will be different and you can measure, say, oh, okay, that was the key. Now I'm scoring 30 instead of just 15, right? So got to keep that scorecard. We gotta know where we are and to see if we're getting where we're going. And that brings us to intentionality, chapter 7. Oh man, which also pertains to chapter 11. We'll get to that in just a moment. So, in intentionality, what did we learn there, guys? Come on. Remember, this is open book or open notes, as Ron has told us so many times.
So, matter of fact, David, I want to introduce Roberto, one of my team partners. He's an incredible leader. So this is the first time he's here with us. So I
Huh?
guess, Roberto, we always go through welcome to the family here. We always go through books. Go ahead, Roberto.
Thank you, guys. I'm doing exercise as I'm listening to you guys. I've read this book before. It's
Okay.
impressive how important it is to apply everything that the book is saying. It's important because it's so easy to do, but it's also so easy not to do it. So
I'm glad.
to remember to go back to each one of the chapters is important. Is one of the big things is it gives you ask you a question: how fast do you want to get to your financial freedom day with this program? Is everyone decides if it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or 20 years, right? We work as an employee for 30 years to get $1,500 check, and this program helps us go to the next level faster to be able to get that financial freedom with the silver, with the other programs. So I like it. Thank you for this uh, club lecture. I think it's necessary for our minds and our spirits, our motivation. And thank you guys for everything.
Great. And Right here, and this quote by Henry David Thoreau, it's not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about? Intentionality is our secret weapon against mediocrity. We have to decide what we want to do. And that goes into the time blocking and making sure we're getting done what we need to get done. And then we go into accountability as ownership. And Ron, I think, mentioned that just a moment ago when you're talking about um, having like-minded individuals around. It helps to keep you accountable, because if you tell your mentor, your coach, that you're gonna be the MVP this year, then you got to know what it takes to get there, and he's the one that's going to help you get there. So he's going to hold you accountable for doing the work that it takes to get there. And also, ownership is us taking responsibility, right, for what we say we want to do. So let's see, on accountability. And then we've got interest versus commitment. And does anybody have something to say about chapter 9? Because I've got a yep, there it is. The one thing I remember out of this chapter is the difference between the breakfast where the chicken and the pig are involved, and we know the difference between um, interest and commitment, right? And the chicken is interested because all they provide is what, the egg, but the pig, he's providing the bacon, so he's fully committed, right? And that's the way we have to be in our business. Are you just interested? Is it just a hobby for you? Or are you fully committed to making those goals that you set in the previous chapters come true, and doing what you know how to do, just doing it more effectively and executing on it? And then, of course, last week, Dr. Parker did a great job on greatness in the moment and told us about all the mind games he played when he was a track star and how that worked out for him, which was excellent. And so now we're in chapter 11, Intentional Imbalance, which is a very interesting title, because as it tells, we have to, well, let's just get into it. I'll just start reading because I don't want to be over time because I'm running out of battery. So, intentional imbalance, the 12-week year is powerful and life changing. Although the bulk of examples we use in this book address the application of the 12-week year for your business, it applies equally well in all of areas of your life. And Fernando kind of touched on that, whether it's a spiritual goal or a personal goal like weight loss or something like that. One challenge most of us face is balancing our time and energy between work and family, community service and recreation, exercise and relaxation, personal passions and obligations. Too much time and effort spent in a single area can create burnout and a lack of fulfillment overall. You can start to feel as if one area of your life is draining your energy, stealing your joy, and subverting your real purpose in life. And it's no wonder that so many people are seeking ways to regain balance in their lives. Okay, here we go. So, if taken literally, the phrase life balance is something of a misnomer. It's natural to think that the goal of life balance is to spend quality time and energy in the various areas of your life, but in reality, that's not practical and would not necessarily create the life you desire. Trying to spend equal time in each area is unproductive and often frustrating. Life balance is not about equal time in each area. Life balance is more about intentional imbalance. Life balance is achieved when you are purposeful about how and where you spend your time, energy, and effort. At different times in your life, you will choose to focus on one area over another, and that's perfectly fine, provided it's intentional. Life has different seasons, each with its own set of challenges and blessings. And these two quotes that are on this page by Stephen Covey, who's written some very outstanding books, The challenge of work-life balance is without question one of the most significant struggles faced by modern man. And then Jack Welch says there's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences. Now I know that's a lot to take in, but how do you all balance life and work today in your own personal life? How do you do that currently?
David, may I, real quick? I'm not going to take
Yes,
a long
sir.
time, I promise. I think our lives is a vehicle, and we have to learn to balance. I mean, this is how I break things down here at home, and my wife is a witness of that. I call it the four wheels of responsibility to speed up your progress for success. Is the most important one is your spiritual life. So create a balance of spirituality, and then second is your family, create a balance there too. And then the third one is your health. Without your health, you got nothing. And lastly is financially. So once
Mm.
we create a balance in these four areas, how much of that are you connecting throughout your day and your daily activities? And I think the vehicle that we have chosen, it's perfectly matched to all these four areas, which creates the time freedom and also creates control in your own economy. So that kind of a balance allows you to fulfill everything. And of course, sometimes we prioritize more on financial a little bit, and then health. Hey, I gained a few pounds, and I've been so busy working. And then we go back and group with the family, talk with the wife. Hey, what's going on? What can we do better here at home? And we improve those areas. So that's all I wanted to just kind of share on this topic that you're talking about, that you're reading today. Thank you.
Well, no problem. Thank you. The other thing that it says, life has different seasons, each with its own set of challenges and blessings. And I was thinking that during my, of course, well, go ahead, Ron. You go ahead.
Okay, when you asked that question, I immediately thought to myself, instead of saying, how do I balance work and life? I asked, how do I keep work from consuming my life while still building my vision? That's my real challenge. So yeah, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
And again, that's part of being um, intentionally imbalanced. Is that there are going to be times when you're going to want to spend more time on work because you've got that idea, that goal that you've got to see through. Eric, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hey,
Just
good
saw your
morning.
hand.
Great read and a great review as well. And what we're talking about is really very profound. You know, we talked about the intentionality and the time blocking, which are tactics, right? Those are things that you do. But what this book is really doing is showing us a way to redesign life. Yesterday I was with a gentleman, an entrepreneur, a guy who has a big following and a podcast, and he was saying something that really resonated with me, which was you got to design your work around your lifestyle, right? And when we went into this book, it started out by saying, what's your big picture, right? What if you could design your life? And a lot of us here, I think, believe and know that you can design your life. A lot of people think that it's external, that someone else is driving the car, but having that in understanding that what you're passionate about will consume more of what you do. So the idea of balance is really, it's false, right? Because, think about an athlete who grows up playing baseball his whole life and then becomes a professional athlete. There's no balance in that in his life. If
No.
you look at it, no, all the
Right.
guy does is think about baseball, but it's
Mhm.
all consuming. And that's why he's so great about it. You know, other areas of life sometimes have to be sacrificed, or there's a price to pay, and then you just got to decide. And that's why, I was thinking about Fernando's comment about the four wheels, and I like the idea that there's four elements, right? But four wheels tells me that if I have one wheel that's big and one wheel that's small, and for example, spiritual and family are big wheels, right? uh Financial may not be the big wheel for a lot of people, and so balance would throw trying to balance that would throw you off of what your real life's mission would be. So I like what Ron said, is that he's trying to keep his work from consuming his lifestyle. And I think a lot of us that are now playing this game at a little bit different and higher level are starting to see that whole idea that I can be in control of my life. I want to design my life. And which comes back to that point of accountability is ownership, right? I like
Mhm.
the way that you rephrase that, I don't need an accountability partner to keep me accountable, because accountability is my job, right? If it's really going to be ownership, accountability is my job. But I do want to be around people that also keep themselves accountable, because living in that world of, mutual integrity is what keeps me accountable. So that's kind of what I want to say. So I would say that, balance is not about evening things out. It's more like a recipe, right? There's more of one ingredient, and it's supposed to be that way. And if you have the
Right.
right mix of those ingredients for your lifestyle, then it is a supreme result.
Like baking a good chocolate cake.
Exactly.
Got to make those choices. Let me finish reading because I don't, like I said, I want to be cognizant of time. So, uh, the 12-week year is a terrific process to help you live a life of intentional imbalance. Many of our clients use the 12-week year to focus on a few key areas in their lives and gain new ground. Think about what could be different for you if every 12 weeks you focused on a few key areas in your life and made significant improvement. Think about your health and fitness. What might be different if for the next 12 weeks you made a commitment to improve in this area? One option is to set a 12-week goal in this area and build a 12-week plan. In this scenario, you would identify a handful of tactics that you would execute on a daily and weekly basis over the next 12 weeks. Your plan may include tactics like these: do 20 minutes of cardio 3 times a week, train with weights 3 times a week, drink at least 6 glasses of water each day, and limit calorie intake to 1,200 daily. The other option is to again set a 12-week goal, but rather than building a tactical plan, you identify a keystone or core action and commit to completing it for the next 12 weeks. In certain instances, a full plan works best, while in others, a keystone commitment is most productive. What about your relationships, your spouse, or a significant other? Family, and close friends? You can use the 12-week year to build better relationships or create more romance or intimacy with your mate. How might those relationships be different if you committed yourself to making real progress over the next 12 weeks? This can be as simple as making an action commitment, like having one date night or family night a week and following through for the next 12 weeks. It truly is incredible what you can accomplish in just 12 weeks when you commit to a specific action. Consider other areas like your spiritual, financial, emotional, intellectual, and community life. Maybe it's time to get out of debt or finish that degree you put on hold. Perhaps you've been thinking about writing a book, Dr. Parker, starting a foundation, or learning a language. You might not be able to complete goals like these in 12 weeks, but you can sure make significant progress. Breaking your bigger goals into 12-week segments allows you to not only make consistent progress, but also to celebrate the milestones along the way. When you are making real progress, you feel greater satisfaction, feel more fulfilled, and stay motivated to see the project through to completion. To decide what to focus on, start with your vision, then rate yourself in the 7 areas of life balance, i.e., spiritual, spouse, partner, family, community, physical, personal, and business. I like to use a scale from 1 to 10 to rate my level of satisfaction. A score of 10 is best that I can be in an area. In other words, 10 is great, quote unquote, by my definition. Conversely, a score of 1 would be terrible by my definition. Notice that I'm using my definition of success and satisfaction as the basis for my assessment. If you are single, for example, and you are happy with that, you might score yourself a 10 under the key relationship category. Each of these areas is either a source of energy or a drain of it. Think about it. If your work life is stressful, full of uncertainty, and unfulfilling, it is bound to affect your personal life. However, if your career provides you a nice income and you enjoy what you do, that creates energy and momentum across the other areas and will have a positive effect. The 12-week year has the power to increase your income and material wealth 2, 3, or even fourfold. It also has the power to help you experience the same magnitude of improvement in any area you choose. Apply the 12-week year to all areas of your life and be prepared for some amazing things to happen. Be encouraged. All right, guys, while you guys chime in on this chapter and all that meat that I just threw out there, I'm going to switch to my phone before my computer shuts me off. Is that okay? Say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So, what did you guys think about those examples he gave for those areas that a lot of us struggle with? Weight loss and relationships. Make sure.
I don't know
Eh,
how many other people have started this process. I hope that there is an intention to use this and really apply it, or I mean, at least to try it, because I'm telling you, it's a lot harder than it sounds. You know, um, Roberto was saying, it's easy to do and even easier not to do. And in this case, I'm telling you, it's much easier not to do it. But then you're not having that truth conversation with yourself. And having implemented this now and doing this for several weeks, I look at my score and I realize that we're very busy in life, and it's very easy to lose track of the most important things that we're supposed to be doing. And this has helped me to stay much more on track. Back to you.
Yep. And you know what? In addition to that, Eric, I noticed that this chapter, with its focus on um, the work life choices that we make, and also the fact that there's different ways to achieve the same goal, like it says, either a keystone or a full plan. And those items, it's funny that they mentioned, like getting out of debt and and working a dead end, not a dead end job, but one that's unfulfilling. That's what we as business partners in our business are definitely looking to help people to do. That's why this book is so relevant and important for us to take what it's saying. First of all, like I said, part one is understanding the process, getting our minds right before we actually get the tools and the tips to apply and to use to get this. And they've said it again, 1, 2, 3, or even fourfold increase just by doing what we know to do. And isn't it great that at this time, it's kind of a dove, it's not, it is a dovetail that the company that we're working with has taken a new direction. And like Fernando said, we're copying the right cat when we look at what has been bringing results and then pivot or adjust what we're doing to get some of those same results in our own area. Of course, making it our own, again, taking ownership and holding ourselves accountable first, and then holding our team members that we're responsible for, coaching them, same thing. And then, of course, being accountable to upper leadership in order to bring forth the kind of results the entire company wants to see. So this is timely. And Fernando, close us out because we only have 8 minutes.
David, yes, real quick though. See, that's the importance of understanding, being interested and being committed.
Yeah.
I think I think when somebody becomes a team partner, they're interested first, but
Yeah.
they have to pair up. I mean, we got to pair them up to someone that is committed. See, going back to Roberto, right? I know Roberto for many years. We used to work in a practice company, and he was a leader that brought a lot in a very short time. And we met in a big event. So when he saw, and I've been following up with him for probably about a couple years. And then when he saw, what I was doing, he started to pay attention, especially when the company brought the what do you call it? The webinar
Mhm.
type of connection.
Oh,
So he was a part of my contact list, and I sent him the information, and then eventually I saw his information come into an email, and I said, "Oh, Roberto, he saw the information, so he was interested, right?" So going back to our relationship, how is he becoming committed? I hold him accountable because I know who he is, and I know what kind of a leader he is. So by the accountability factor of conversations, then he started to become committed. Because yesterday in one of our meetings, he goes, Fernando, I finally understand what this company is about. And as you alluded to, David, we do have our company's transitioning incredibly because what we're bringing to the table now holds people accountable through the process of one service and one service alone, which is silver. And Roberto loves that fact. So he knows that if we're able to understand this area of residual income, which is what we do with our membership, and passive income, that gives you enough balance to stop trading time for dollars, where it gives you more leverage to work on your health, to work on your family, get closer to your family instead of trading time for dollars, and spiritually. So at the end of the day, I think we're just excited to know that we are in the right path to be able to achieve all our goals and our dreams. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say, David. I know that your computer probably shut off, but you're here on your phone. Back to you, David. I'll make you co-host again.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Just had to find the unmute button. That's a great practical application of what we're talking about. And next we'll be number two and look at the tools. I think we're really going to accelerate the process for both our, as we said, this is not only good for business, but it's good for our personal life. So I appreciate everybody chiming in, and we are now going to transition into our presentation for the day. And on next week, we will go into part 2, chapter 12. So if you already have the book and you're taking notes like Ron, be ready. We'll have a great discussion next week as well. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Parker, who I believe is our present. Yes, he's presenting and Fernando is training. So let's get ready and send out those last minute texts and invite those folks that need to be in part of as part of our organization and make those life changes that we're trying to make. They need them too. Fernando, are we taking a 5 minute break or a 10 minute break? What's our break system here? I know we just
Uh, David, thank you so much for being a reader today. I mean, the way you read and coach It's reading and coaching. It was phenomenal going back to the chapters. And I also want to thank Eric for allowing us access to this incredible book. It's amazing. I mean, I take a lot of notes all the time. And we got about 4 minutes to wrap up our reading of the morning. If anyone else has anything that you want to say before we wrap up, because we're going to take a break. And here's why we take a break. Because we give ourselves 30 minutes to send our last invites. I know it's 13 leaders here with us, and anybody that is not a part of our platform, by all means, feel free to come back. I have another guest here by the name of Carlos. So 30 minutes, we're going to take a little break, and not just to break, but to invite folks, which is what I'm doing right now. Carlos is one of them, but welcome. But that's what we're going to do. So we got 3 minutes to wrap up. If anybody wants to raise their hand and wants to share anything that you're taking with you, I know that we had Eric, Jameson, Roberto, and Ron that has shared something. But Monifa, we haven't heard from Monifa today. Ron.
Appreciate you, Fernando. This is what I'm leaving with today, and what's good for me could be good for you too. So as we close today's discussion, I want to leave everyone with a simple question: are we interested in change? Well, this was posed to me, but I'm posing it to you all. Are we interested in change, or are we committed to it? Being interested is easy. Being interested is easy. We all want better health, stronger relationships, more financial freedom, greater purpose, and a better future. But commitment is different. So with that being said, I'm committed to building. I'm committed to being accountable. I'm committed to showing up. So appreciate you, David. Again, great job today. And thank you, Fernando,
Thank
for
you,
allowing me to
Rhonda.
share.
Ron,
Yes,
it's
sir.
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Yes, sir.
It's a true pleasure, Ron. You know, we're with you. You know, your transformation has been phenomenal since we met a couple of years. We were in one event and meeting you. I mean, you're a humble man. You got a big heart, a giant heart, and you always bring great stuff to the table. And you never stop promoting yourself in social media, Facebook. So if you guys want to meet Ron Samuels, go to his Facebook. He's got a lot to share. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm
All right.
sorry. Great job today. I'm sorry. I'm just been a little inundated today, but to change your life had to change. And I couldn't really hear much because it's crazy day. But I love you guys to life. This means a lot to be part of this mastermind. Because if you don't fund your mentals, really, it's like, what are you doing? We have to grow each and every day. We have to stay committed to what we're looking to achieve, or else it'll never happen. We'll just be like running in place. But thank you so much. I love y'all to life. Nice reading, David. Great commentary, Fernando and Jameson and Ron. Awesome. Eric, absolutely. I didn't hear Dr. Parker today.
Hey, Monifa, we couldn't live without you saying, wrapping it up for us here. But hey, ladies and gentlemen,
Absolutely.
you want to know more about Monifa? Go to her Facebook. She's always promoting herself, and what she brings to the table is high class, as much as Ron. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap up, and we're gonna see you guys back in 30 minutes. Okay, we got to double, triple the numbers because we got Dr. G.W. Parker, 2-star regional director, $1 million ring earner. Come on, I don't want to miss that. I'm ready to expose this to a lot of our guests. So yeah, we don't want to miss that. And then right after that, your friend Fernando will be doing a basic training, so we can kind of wrap up the end of the month because we have until tomorrow, and the company is laying out more money for us to be able to earn, and that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so we'll see you all in 30 minutes with new guests. We'll be back.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
guys.
Bye, David. Thanks again.
All right, Fernando. See you in a minute.
Great job,
All right.
guys.
Dr. GW, looking forward.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Preparing.